What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast. Happy Sunday. Portal officially closed yesterday. We're still seeing names trickle in because they got to send in their paperwork and get processed. But some big names in for Miami, some big names out, or at least not jumping in than we might have expected to go in. Popo Aiga, linebacker, role player, productive player for the Canes here the last couple of years, goes in the portal. Jordan LYLE, and really Miami's entire running back room. You thought you might see some mix-ups there. No one leaves. And Miami returns, to me, one of the best running back rooms in the country. Got to figure out how to get it going better in the regular season. But as we saw in the playoffs and just talent-wise, this is a great, great group. So I'm fired up. Obviously disappointed by the Popo news. We'll talk through it. We'll take your questions. We'll do all the usual Sunday stuff. As always, shout out to Anjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anjar and Levine. A lot of comments about linebacker. Of course, Popo, big loss. A lot of comments about Popo here in the chat. Again, good morning, everybody. So let's how about this? Let's start with our friend Popo Aiga jumping in the portal, linebacker. Pull up the announcement here. Again, tough break for the Canes, but something that I don't think was totally unexpected. This is part of being in big time college football. So let's see here. Well, we already have a comment. From Popo's dad. So let's get into it. So Popo Aiga, linebacker, jumps in the portal, been a productive player, over 70 tackles in his career, was in the rotation last year and this year, more of an inside linebacker. And I think part of the reason why you may have seen him jump in the portal was because the return of Motoray to him signals that he's not going to get as much playing time as he hoped, which is really a full-time role. My view of this is that he's picking up that, hey, because of maybe the way he moves and the way he plays, much more of a competition with the Motoray as opposed to a competition with the Wesley Basaint. Basaint moving on, that spot's wide open on the weak side. Does the position go to a guy like Popo, or is he more in competition with Motoray inside? I think he took the view that, hey, I'm more between the tackles guy. Motoray is our between the tackles guy. That Wesley spot, that seems like more of a Kamal Bonner, Kellen Wiley battle. I want to play. So here's a quote from Popo's dad, Miami Columbus grad, fellow Cuban, friend of Mirabal and all these guys growing up. He says, quote, "My son is a Cane for life. He just wants to play ball. It's not about the money." And, I hear it, man. And listen, I interviewed Popo for Storm Sessions. We interviewed him a couple times. Great young man. Awesome guy to talk to. Really loved being a Cane. Loved being in Miami. He was awesome, man. It was fun to watch him play. He was part of two really, really great Canes teams as far as bringing us back to where we need to be. And he played a role. It wasn't like he was watching on the sidelines. He was playing in all those big games. Had a really, really good game against Notre Dame this year. And it sounds like he's been in college. Now, this is his fourth year, and he didn't redshirt, so I believe this is his senior year coming up. And he just wants to be that full-time starter at linebacker. So this to me it's the sad part of the portal, but it's also the good part of the portal in that a guy like Popo, who didn't do anything wrong. I mean, he played, he worked hard, he did his thing, but for whatever reason, didn't see a path to playing as many snaps as he wanted, can go in the portal, get paid. But like he said, I really believe I think this is his dad typing this, is saying that it's not about the money. This is a situation where he just wants to play. 77 tackles in his career, 4 tackles for loss, a sack, and then, of course, that big touchdown against Louisville. I think this guy just wants to play full-time snaps, and he's going to get that opportunity. Where will he land? I don't know. Could it be a Missouri? That's just a total wild guess, but they did pick up Malik Bryant. They picked up Bobby Washington. Could Popo Aiga slide in there? They've done a really good job with linebackers. I think he's going to be a P4 player and a P4 starter. Obviously, if he goes in the portal, you got to imagine he's going to somewhere where he can be a guaranteed starter. But It's a bummer. Like D-Huck said, I think this is the best way to say it. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. And I don't like it either, man. I like this guy being a Cane. He's an experienced player. He knows what it takes. He knows the standard. He's just a great person around the building. But ultimately, this is the reality of college football. We're fans for decades, right? I've been a fan since I was 6 years old, probably 5 years old. So you're talking about 35 years. These guys, they only have a small window to play, right? It's a 4, 3, 5, maybe remote Toure a little more, Cam McCormick, but it's a short window. So these guys have to maximize that window, not just financially, which is part of it too now with the NIL, but just in terms of their opportunity to play and show what they can do. What if he goes to, I just pick a Missouri, and he gets 100 tackles, right? His whole life changes. So that's something to keep an eye on. Coach Jenko scaring me here, but he's making a good point. He says Clemson needs a linebacker. They do, actually, with Luke Farrelly. Their biggest portal acquisition, who was the ACC Freshman of the Year from Cal, Clemson grabs him, and then Ole Miss comes and gets Luke Farrelly while he's already at Clemson. You read that story with Dabo Swinney. We talked about it yesterday, complaining about how they put all this work in to get this portal guy from Cal, and then Ole Miss tampers with him and gets him while he's already enrolled at Clemson. So Clemson does need a linebacker. Greatest ever says he's going to Colorado. That would be good for playing time. I don't think that would be the best move for him. I think he could play ACC, SEC, Big Ten if he goes to the right program. And Chris Bradford makes a good point too. We got to get him back. There is still time to pull him out of the portal if Miami pushes that way. You saw with Gerard Pringle. Gerard Pringle, once he jumped in the portal, we said it on the show, Pete said it, a lot of people said it. Miami's going to fight really, really hard to get Pringle back. He's a big part of the plans. Obviously, they were able to secure him. We'll talk about that whole room in a second. With Popo, I know Miami wants him back. He's a good player, and he's already been playing. But it might be a situation, too, where Miami says, you know what, we get it. Like, he's got to go. Like, this is what he wants, and this is understandable. We cannot promise him this starting position. We cannot promise him everything he wants, and that's fine. And therefore, it's an open market. It's the beauty of the portal. He can do that. Certainly his contributions to the Canes are secured. This was a guy that was on the field for all those big wins. You look at the big wins that Popo Aiga was part of, whether it was all the big wins last year with Cam Ward, this year, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Florida State, Florida. He was part of those wins, part of bringing this program where he wanted to be. Look at that class of 2023. It's really thinned out. The only guys that are still on the team from that class, and I'll pull up the class of 2023 right now because I think this is a very interesting class for Miami when you really look at it and evaluate it. Popo was a huge part of that. Miami got him over Alabama, over Ohio State. So this was a big recruit that Miami got. Miami had struggled to get linebackers, and this was a big, big win for them. But when you look at this class, right? So right at the top, Francis Mouinot, he'll be a top 10 pick. Could not have been more of a hit. Cultural cornerstone. Samson Okunlola really, really emerged this year. He's going to be a leader of the team next year. Still has 2 years of eligibility, actually, I believe. But yeah, he has 2 years left if he wants to take him. But he's going to be one of the better guards in the country next year. Wasn't a straight line of development, but it shows you why you stick with these guys. I believe with the help of Alex Mirabal, with his own hard work, and this guy's just so laser focused, so smart, so business oriented. He's built himself into one of the best guards in the country. So that ended up being a hit. Took a while. Ruben Bain, obviously a hit. National ranked 71st player, not a 5-star. We know how that turned out. Bad eval by 247. He is a 5-star player and a top 10 player in this draft. In my opinion, the best defensive player in the country in 2025. So those 3 hits. Number 4, Mark Fletcher. How do we feel about this one? Certainly a hit. Set the playoff record for most yards in a playoff. The heart and soul of the team. And he's coming back. Major, major hits. So these top 4 guys in this class of 23 were huge, huge, huge hits. Really the foundation of what you had here going to the championship game. Then you go, this is Mario's first full class, by the way. Then you scroll down. Jaden Wayne bounced around, goes from Miami. Doesn't really play as much as he wants as a freshman. He did play. Goes to Washington, plays a little bit, and then goes to UCLA. I believe that's where he is now. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Or is he at Cal? I know he's over there in California. In fact, let me look it up. That's the beauty of Google. We can just look these things up. Jaden Wayne's at Cal, so I apologize. But had a decent season. 25 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks on a Bull team. So, not what you hoped he'd be. I'm sure what he hoped he'd be coming out, but he's working towards it. Robbie Washington, now at Coastal Carolina. His brother, we'll get to, is just transferred to Mizzou. Ray Joseph at Eastern Carolina with Emory Williams. We'll see where those guys play. But this is why you wonder why Miami's been signing so many receivers, both in the portal and in the high school ranks, why they're still looking at a guy like Cooper Barkate, who is one of the last real pieces here in this portal class. Starts right here. Robbie Washington and Ray. These were the guys you hope delivered explosive plays for you. They didn't work out for the Canes. So when you look at Miami's receiving core, very good this year as far as getting you to the championship. I mean, Keelan Marion, CJ Daniels, the clutch plays they made, blocking, receiving, running after the catch, leadership, they were outstanding. But the explosive part of the offense, aside from Malachi Toney, was missing a little bit. I think part of it is you see these two guys didn't work out for the Canes. Riley Williams, highly touted tight end. He did contribute. He's in a class, and I'll point this out here. There's a few of these guys that played and helped us win games, but then ultimately portaled elsewhere. So, how do you evaluate those guys when you go back and look at these classes? I think you got to look at them as they weren't misses totally because they helped you win games, but you didn't get the full experience because they transferred. Riley Williams being one of those who helped us win that Virginia Tech game with Cam Ward, played a real big role that season, goes to Oregon State, and now I believe, let me just confirm here, he is at Mississippi State. So you'll see him in the SEC at Mississippi State. Big blocking tight end. Robert Stafford, UCLA. Didn't really do anything for the Canes. Talented guy, talented athlete. But I think when Miami went and he was injured, was sick for a while as well. Miami goes back and really reloads that position in the portal. He played this year for UCLA, 16 total tackles. So he was a contributing guy at UCLA. Continue to go down the line here. Damari Brown, talked about the portal closing. A lot of people looked at Damari Brown as a potential portal guy because he is a starting caliber player, and all these starting caliber corners are splitting time. I have heard nothing to indicate Damari's in the portal. I checked with some people. No one had heard that. It's possible. You never know. Those things pop up later. Even though the portal closed, they might have sent their paperwork in, but I have not heard or gotten a heads up. So I think Damari Brown will be a Cane, and he was really good this year when he was on the field. Collins Akiapong, I think he's at like UMass or something. He's gone down a couple levels. That was a miss eval. Malik Bryant now at Mizzou. Josh Horton went to Georgia where he played. Actually, he was on the playoff rotation. So he's someone that was, I think, a good eval in terms of the body, the athleticism. He just took a while because of injuries while he was at Miami. Popo, we've been talking about him, who, really, I think of all these guys, he contributed more than most to wins, to Miami's success, to Miami getting back to where they wanted to be. Just unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to finish it, and you can't totally blame him. It's just one of those things, man. This is a modern college football, and it is what it is. Antonio Tripp transferred to FIU. I believe he's back in the portal. Chris Johnson didn't really contribute much to Miami. He's just struggled to find his footing. He has been basically replaced by Gerard Pringle in that role. He is now at Clemson after going to SMU last year. Tommy Kinsler lands at Ole Miss. Bobby Washington is now at Missouri. Caleb Spencer, this was a good player. This is one of those guys I kind of wish we kept. He goes to Virginia Tech, his home state, and he was good. He was actually very good against the Canes when we played him. He's done a nice job. So he's a good, solid ACC player. We'll see how it goes with James Franklin. I think he's still there. I don't think he jumped in the portal or anything like that. Let me just confirm. But I think Caleb Spencer, he's right there in Virginia Tech. It's hard to keep track of some of these portal guys, but I believe he's right there. VTech, he's not going anywhere, and he's done a really nice job. Let me just pull up his stats here just to put some perspective on it. Yeah, 2025, played 12 games, 67 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, half a sack, and a pass deflected. So he's a good, solid player. Emory Williams, Eastern Carolina. He'll be throwing to Ray Joseph. Jackson Carver, don't sleep on this one. We'll see what happens with him, but he had an ACL injury. He's a big, athletic guy, works hard. He was back in the playoffs, practicing, going full You saw him in warm-ups running around. He looked good. So he's one to watch. Shamar Kirk and Demetrius Freeney, two JUCO guys, they didn't really make it. Frankie Tinalau's gone down a level. Pulliam, same thing. Dylan Joyce, of course, is our punter. So how do you guys look? I'll ask the comments, man, because I'm curious what you guys think. How do you guys look at the class of 2023 that was so big at the top for us, and then maybe more washouts as you go down? Let us know what you think about that. I think ultimately in the modern college football, this is what you're looking at. So Dennis Lopez says top 5 guys, 4 guys saved this class. What a disaster. That's how you look at it, right? It's like, yeah, the top 4 guys saved this class, but who are the top 4 guys? Best offensive lineman in the country, best defensive player in the country, best running back in the playoffs, heart and soul of your team, and a really, really good guard. So, yeah, the top 4 guys saved the class. Those top 4 guys are really, really good. Really good. Plus, you got your punter out there as well. So, it makes you wonder, this is the philosophical question. We'll get into this with team building, but while we're in the portal, is it more about, are you landing impact players in high school versus are you building your whole team with numbers? Because portal's going to come in and fill in gaps. To me, it's more about, and I think you need to evaluate better. You have too many washouts in 2023, even in the modern era. I know Miami went back and tried to fix some of their evaluation practices, protocols, systems to get a higher hit rate, which I think they did in class of 2025. So they self-evaluated that they need to do better than they did in this class. But I do think in general, I'm looking at these classes and I'm really focused on the impact guys, because you're not going to find a Mark Fletcher in the portal. Very difficult. You're definitely not going to find a Francis Malinois in the portal. You are definitely not going to find a Ruben Bain in the portal unless, like a Damon Wilson, who Miami paid a pretty penny for. And Okunlola, like those guys are hard to get in the portal unless you get them early when they're not at their full development. So ultimately, I think because of the level of impact guys that contributed to us winning all the games we won this year, 13 games, 4 top 10 wins going to the championship, all 4 of those guys played a huge role. And then some other guys, Damari Brown contributed, Popo contributed, others. So I think ultimately, Dylan Joyce, ultimately a good class, but learning from some of those. And as Green Tree points out here, some of those guys really were P4 players. Like they transferred and stayed at P4 places. Malik Bryant's a P4 player. Bobby Washington's a P4 player. I think Popo, when he transfers, will be a P4 player. So again, it's interesting to look back. This was Mario's breakthrough class, his first full class, and a lot to learn from there. But Popo, shout out to him, man. Really, really awesome to watch him play, get to know him, and I hope he has a great career wherever he lands. And I think he will. By the way, over 2,000 on. Like and subscribe to the show. Got to shout out my boy, Papa's Alternative Brew, Nick West. I see him in the chat. He's a Cal Ripken, man. I don't think he's missed a chat ever, even while he handles this hemp empire with Papa's Alternative Brew. Your can of calm after the chaos. 7.5 to 10 milligrams of THC and a splash of hops in every pour. The buzz without the booze, the chill without the hangover. Crank one open, kick off your boots or your brain, and hop into your happy place. I love this line. I was going to do my own line, but their lines are so good I have to repeat them. Perfect for porch swings, couch sinks, and everything in between. The American Unwind. I got too many of these in my house right now. I'll be knocking some of these back watching the NFL games today. 60 calories too, so it's a light for a beer, but is definitely a beer. No booze, but plenty of buzz. PapasAltBrew.com. And it'll ship everywhere, not just to Southwest Oregon where they're at. You're in Florida, they'll ship to you as well. So, yeah, man, but ultimately I think with Popo, it's about roll. You heard his dad. I have no reason to doubt that. All right, so let's get to the good news. And this to me is, I would say shocking is the wrong word. Certainly surprising, which is that Miami's entire running back room appears to be back. So we had the Gerard Pringle battle where he jumped in the portal. Miami battled to retain him. We knew they would because he is just an outstanding player. Mark Fletcher coming back. Surprising to some, but he's such a diehard Cane. And then Marty Brown and Jordan LYLE, both two guys who I think can carry the load as starters back for the Miami Hurricanes. So just super excited to watch these guys. I think you're going to see this running game play much more like what you saw in the playoffs than what you saw during the regular season. It was not the best running game during the regular season. Now, in the big games you had to win, the running game was there. Notre Dame, Florida, which was a tough front, that running game did deliver, certainly down the stretch as you went on that great run to end the season. In the middle, it struggled a little bit, sputtered a little bit, particularly when it comes to yards per carry. Short yardage was a little predictable. We saw that. But in the playoffs, with Fletcher really emerging, Marty Brown doing his thing, you saw how good this running game could be. You also saw a lot of flashes from Gerard Pringle, which we've talked about during his saga. But let me say this. I really believe there's a lot of flashy names in this portal period. But we might go back and look and say the steal of the portal for the Miami Hurricanes was the return of Jordan LYLE. This is a guy that when you go to practice, you see him. He has everything you want in an NFL back. He's got size. He's tough. He's got balance. He can make you miss. He can take it all the way to the house. Extremely hardworking player. Great attitude. Tough. Great pass blocker. Can catch the ball. He is a well-rounded, complete NFL-style back. Over 7 yards a carry last year. Comes into camp this year expecting to be the starter, and in fact takes the first carry against Notre Dame. Think how good you have to be to get the first carry with some of the guys we had on this team. Gets hurt, comes back early, never really finds his foot, and I think he was trying to do too much, got in his head a little bit, got tight. But when this guy is right, he is spectacular. And I think you look at this running back room, Mark Fletcher, we know who he is. He proved who he is to the world, but you also want to manage him. You do not want to get him hurt. You want him there for the playoffs and those big, big moments. You don't want him to just get beat up. Marty Brown, you know what he's going to bring. Pringle has his explosive dimension. LYLE has an opportunity to really seize this in the regular season, keep everybody fresh, at the same time showing what impact player he can be and what difference-making ability he can bring to some of these games. Because he's a guy that when he's right, he can make difference in playoff games, not just against USF or some of the games where you've seen him. So keep an eye on Jordan LYLE. I think we might go back and say this was the sneaky impact acquisition or retention of the portal period. So we'll see, man. I think it's going to be fun. Let's see. There's a comment about can LYLE play linebacker? He probably could. He's a tough guy, but I don't think that's where it's going to be. Steve Smith said, you said the same thing about JoJo. Yeah, look, JoJo, LYLE, and Lofton were three coming out of spring where you thought they'd have more of an impact. Jordan LYLE's impact continued into fall. He started, remember, the first game against Notre Dame. So it was really up until that injury where you saw him take a step back. I would say the biggest difference between JoJo and LYLE, they're just different. Both of them, I think, super talented, great kids. They had a lot of pressure on them from themselves and from the community, and I think they got tight a little bit when they came back from injury. So there's a lot of similarities between the two. I would say the biggest difference between JoJo and LYLE, I think LYLE physically is more ready to go. Like, he is tough. JoJo's tough too. You saw some of the blocks he did, but I mean, LYLE, you can put him there pass blocking. You could put him there wherever you want. He's almost too locked in, if that makes sense. You got to he has to relax a little bit. With JoJo, you kind of want to push him a little bit. With LYLE, it's almost the opposite. He's got to relax a little bit because he's so tight. He wants to be so great. He's been working out, running with his dad. I did an interview with him for Storm Session. This guy was working out like an NFL player since he was a kid. He's just very, very driven. And I think sometimes when you have these super driven players, they can get tight. It's not a lack of effort. It's just, man, he wants to be great so bad. Sometimes when you run, the best running backs, they're running free, right? They're not, hey, I got to hit a home run on this play, right? Or I gotta do this and that. They're letting the game come to them. They're reacting. They're seeing the holes. They're having confidence when it's there to hit it. It's almost a flow state, to use a cliche. I didn't see that with LYLE this year when he came back from his injury. He was trying to force things. He was running into tackles more so than eluding them. And this is a guy with good feet, good balance, but it was almost like he was just trying to, he was like a square peg, just trying to push through, and it wasn't happening. 3.1 yards per carry, obviously very disappointing for him and for everybody else. But I've seen it in practice. We've seen it in flashes. The Stanford game, he had a very impressive run. Obviously, USF last year, Wake Forest. You want to see it against the better competition. And the knock would be, and I've heard this knock on CanesInSight.com, 7.9 million posts and counting sign up today. I heard people say, yeah, he can do it against the bad teams. Can he do it against the good teams? And that's a fair criticism. But I can tell you, I've seen him in practice against that defense, which was the best defense in the country, Miami Hurricanes. And he was making big plays on them as well. So the thing with LYLE that I think will allow him to play next year is that he is very, very good at pass blocking. So that aspect, which Pringle, I think, hurt him a little bit. He'll get better at it now with the year to get better and grow. But I think with LYLE, he's almost as good at pass blocking as Fletcher is and Marty. So you could put him out there on those snaps. Just a matter of getting healthy. And look, we were blessed with injuries, knock on wood. We did have that tough injury to LYLE where it knocked him out of his rhythm. Fletcher missed some games. But ultimately, we didn't have catastrophic injuries at running back. And I'm praying we don't have again where a guy is out for the year, right? Tears ACL, breaks his leg, something. You pray that doesn't happen. But reality is that does happen in college football. So more running backs, the better. We thought we had too many corners last year with Brown, with Connor, with Brantley, with Frederic, with Antoine, with all these guys. Lucas. Ultimately, our corner depth was tested by the end of the year. Running back, we got lucky, but I don't think you would ever have enough at a position. Whenever you say we have too much of this position, what happens? Guys end up getting hurt and you end up using everybody. It's a college football thing, man. It always happens that way. So with Jordan LYLE, this is huge news. Didn't even mention the Marty Brown news. Marty Brown, a huge part of this team, the blocking, the receiving. He might be Miami's best receiving back in terms of what he did this year with the big catch against Ohio State. Huge one-handed catch, I believe, against Florida, which helped us pull away in that game. All the tough runs he's made. I mean, he is as clutch as it gets. So those running backs, man, very, very talented. But the challenge remains, can we get this running game going more in the regular season? As I pull up the stats, you look at Miami's yards per rush on the season, and it is not what you'd expect from a Miami team. Cristobal teams are always in that 5+ range. That was last year. I think we were top 5, meaning 2024 with Cam Ward. We were top 5 in yards per rush, pretty consistently over 5 yards per rush. This year, 82nd in the country, 4.1 yards per rush. Now, the caveat I'll put on the running game is they never lost yards. They were top 5 in yards per their tackles for loss against. So they were never getting tackled in the backfield. They kept us ahead of the sticks. We were very efficient offense in that way. And then in big games, you can't say we played Ohio State, best off defense in the country besides ours. They didn't stop our running game. We played Notre Dame. They didn't stop our running game. Played 2 SEC teams. To me, the 2 best SEC teams with Ole Miss and Texas A&M. They did not stop our running game. Really, Indiana did not stop our running game. When you look at it, I mean, they played well on defense, but it's not like they took away Fletcher. Fletcher had a huge game against them. So we played the best teams stopping the run and we're able to run the ball. So I don't think the stats accurately reflect where our running game is, but the stats aren't meaningless either. We got to get more explosive during the regular season. I think Pringle certainly gives us the ability to crack a big run. Fletcher, you saw more of that over the course of the year. And then LYLE. LYLE showed you, I think he has the longest run in UM history with that run against USF, 90+ yards. So those guys can generate that explosiveness. Obviously, the offensive line is going to have to do their part. I think you're going to see more athleticism perhaps at tackle. As great as Markel Bell was, and I think he was a stud, one of the best tackles in the country, he's not necessarily the most explosive, laterally quick, rangy guy. Whereas we'll see how Jackson Cantwell does. This is a 4.7 shuttle guy. You saw him catch some touchdown passes here senior year of high school. I think he's more athletic than maybe people give him credit for. So we'll see how he looks in space. But if he shows you more in space like a Markel Bell did, maybe you get more outside running. Certainly if Matt McCoy's your tackle on the other side, he's a very athletic player, former tight end. So maybe we get more outside running this year based on the personnel. It's going to be interesting to see. I think this offense is going to be much closer to what you saw in 24 than 25, just because the personnel is different. With CJ Daniels, with Beck, with Keelan Marion, you were very much built to be that down-to-down, long drive, efficient offense. That offense won you so many games this year. How many game-winning drives that we had this year where the offense had to get us points? Notre Dame, Ole Miss, right, Ohio State, and they got it done. So this offense was, to me, better than the stats because of what it was able to do against good team, same as the running game. But I think in terms of overall explosiveness and numbers, I think you'll see the running game be better this year. And I think you'll see the overall offense be better this year and much more similar statistically to what you saw in 2024. Challenge is, can you be closer to 2024 offensively, stat-wise, while also keeping the record closer to 2025? You can say what you want about that offense being explosive. That offense was geared to win close games. And when you go 4-1 against top 10 teams, you can't tell me that offense wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. We weren't the only team with a good defense, right? But we had an offense that was able to make the plays that needed to be made. I think that's what you want to see repeated, but with more explosiveness. And the return of Jordan and LYLE, to me, is something that's going to allow this offense to be more explosive. So ultimately, shout out to Jordan LYLE. Shout out to Popo Aiga, two guys, local guys. I know Popo played football, high school football in Georgia, but he's originally from Miami. So two local guys who chose the Canes over big options. Jordan LYLE's coming to Ohio State. Popo, Ohio State was after him. Alabama was after him. They both chose Miami. So shout out to those guys. Appreciate what they've done and excited to have Jordan LYLE back for another year. We'll see what happens with our guy, Popo Aiga. As always, man, you want to watch these great games here in this championship Sunday. The Rams battling the Seattle Seahawks. Some Canes on display. Elijah Arroyo, Cam Kitchens. Broncos against the Patriots. Probably going to be a boring game given Bo Nix is out, but you're going to be watching anyways. Go to Duffy's Tavern, man. 60-plus years of Miami history, the home of the Hurricanes, right there on the edge of Coral Gables. Don't go to Duffy's Grill or all these other Duffy's. It's Duffy's Tavern. That is the classic one. That is the one with all those decades of Hurricane history. That's the one where you look on the walls, you see all of our championships, you see all of our tradition. Under new ownership, the same old school feel. The menu's better. The drinks are better now, accepting credit card, but still keeping that tradition. That's why they bought it. So shout out to Eddie, Junior, Jose, all the guys. It's going to be a really, really good Sunday at Duffy's Tavern. Appreciate you. Oh, that's right. I forgot Andres Borregales on the Patriots. So there are Canes in 3 of the 4 games. So again, shout out to everybody joining us. Like and subscribe to the show. Over 2,900 on. We'll probably be back again soon. This portal news is crazy. Like and subscribe. Go Canes.